Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Yes.
It's the playoffs, man. You hit tying home runs and go-ahead homers. I mean, you never have anything in the bag in the playoffs, no.
Back and forth. That's the crazy game we play, and it's never over till the last out.
It's baseball. Things like that happen. It feels a little devastating, but at the end of the day, you got to bounce back. We're still in a good position. I mean, it was a crazy game.
Taking blows all year long, and there's no doubt we can, overcome this and bounce back.
A lot of ups and downs, just like the regular season. There's always going to be ups and downs throughout games like this. Two good teams going after it, but they were able to come away with the last big swing there, and time to move on to the next game. This one obviously stings a bit more, but at the end of the day, an L's an L. By 1, 2, 8, whatever. Tomorrow's a new day. We got to get it done.
This is what we've been great at all year, and what that room's been great at all year. We've had some tough losses that we've bounced back from. That stings when you get left there like that, especially after you battle back against them like that. You sit in it for a minute, but we'll be ready to roll tomorrow.
A couple of classically clutch home runs launched Cleveland into celebration, and the Guardians back into this series. They followed two big swings from the Bombers, with Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton momentarily stunning the competition in their all-star closer. But the Yankees still enter Game 4 of the American League Championship Series with a 2-1 lead, and they remain 2 wins away from a pennant. Let's get you ready for a Friday night showdown between the Yanks and Guardians at Progressive Field in Ohio. We hope you're having a great night. Welcome to the FanDuel Yankees pregame. Bob Lorenz, John Flaherty, Jack Hurry, and Michael Kay with you. It is Game 4 tonight. Yankees within a whisker of a 3-0 lead last night. Still a chance to go up 3-1 tonight with Luis Gil on the mound.
And he has to be at the top of his game. He has to be the king of the hill for the Yankees. Why? Because their bullpen is fatigued. This becomes a big game. You don't want the Guardians to get it to 2-2. This guy hasn't pitched in a long time, close to 3 weeks now. How is his command going to be? How is his stuff going to be? I think his stuff will be fine. It has to be a close look, though, at the command, and he needs to give them at least 5 innings. If he gets knocked out in the third, that's some trouble. You'll go to Marcus Stroman probably at that point, but do you really stay in the game if that happens? So he has to be top flight Luis Gil, the one that he was at the beginning of the year.
Michael, you're talking about the start of the game. My mind is already racing to the end of this game. I'm thinking about closing time because of what happened last night with Class A of the Guardians giving up those 2 home runs to Judge and Stanton, and what happened to Weaver and Holmes for the Yankees and the home runs that they gave up. Both teams thought they had this game when they handed the baseball to their respective closers. That didn't happen. So what happens tonight? Who gets the first chance to close? I will say this. I don't see either team making a change. Class A will close for the Guardians, of course, and I think if the Yankees are in a safe situation, Weaver has to get the ball.
So, Jack, you're looking at the end of the game. Michael, you're looking at the beginning. I'm looking at the totality of this game, and I feel like every pregame show that we've done, we can pretty much figure out what the script is going to be. I feel like tonight's game could very easily be off script. Both managers have starting pitchers, Michael, you mentioned it, who haven't pitched in a long time. They could go to their bullpen early. They might have to make some decisions to leave their starter in who doesn't have his great stuff. And then the bullpen decisions in this game, they're going to be fascinating to watch. You look at both lineups. I think both of the offensive lineups are saying it's on us tonight to score early and score often and try to take some heat off the pitching staff.
Well, let's take a look at the Yankees starting lineup tonight, brought to you by Toyota. Gleyber Torres has reached base in 14 of 35 plate appearances. Soto has reached base all 7 postseason games. Giancarlo Stanton, 3 homers and 6 runs batted in the playoffs. But take a look, Jack, at the cleanup hitter in Jazz Chisholm Jr. and then Anthony Rizzo back in, but batting 6th.
Yeah, the Yankees were late in delivering their lineup today, so I think there was a lot of discussion that went into what they were eventually going to do. I understand the left-right, and I know that's something the Yankees have done all season, and it led them to the best record in the American League, but especially after what happened last night, I would have thought that you'd see Judge and then Stanton right behind him, because if there is a moment in this game tonight where the Guardians can pitch around Judge and you see Chisholm in the on-deck circle, you're much more likely to go that route than if it were Stanton.
I'm with you on this. I'm thinking about Stephen Vogt at the beginning of this series, right, walking Juan Soto to get to Aaron Judge. Now, all of a sudden, Aaron Judge is being Aaron Judge again, and with Chisholm batting behind him, could there be a spot maybe even early in this game where you avoid Aaron Judge, you try to attack Chisholm, and then maybe you even can pitch around Stanton? Wells back in the lineup, a guy who hasn't done anything offensively. Think Aaron Boone thinking it's only a matter of time before he comes around.
If you look at Wells' numbers, though, he's 0 for 10 with 6 strikeouts, and he had 2 at-bats yesterday, struck out in both of them, and he seems to be having trouble with fastballs upstairs. He struck out on 2 93-mile-an-hour fastballs last night, so they had to drop him in the lineup, but they do put him back behind the plate where he has a better arm than Trevino. I think it's a roll of the dice. I think, as Jack said, they like to go lefty-righty, lefty-righty. They want to split Judge and Stanton, not make it that easy for Vogt, and just 2 hits so far for Jazz Chisholm, so it's a little bit of a gamble.
One other thing is they have left-handed hitters in the 6th, 8th, and 9th spots. So if you were to elevate Stanton, you're probably clustering those left-handed batters even more. It goes against what they have done all season. That being said, especially after the 2 at-bats that those guys had off Clase last night, I think having them back-to-back, you're putting pressure on the young starter for the Guardians, Williams. He might have to see Soto, Judge, and Stanton in the first inning. You want to put that pressure on the opposition.
Well, let's talk about one lefty that's been tough to get out for the Yanks. That's Juan Soto. I mentioned that he has been on base all 7 games so far in the postseason. It's our Hyundai highlights. Michael, 7 of 24. He's also drawn 6 of their 45 walks.
You know, he came into this with postseason experience, having won the World Series with the Nationals, and he showed exactly why he is the player that he is. 3 for 10 in this series, and obviously over the long haul, he's even better. He's 7 for 24, well, actually a little less at 292 for the postseason. He is key to the Yankees. He got that walk against Gaddis yesterday that forced him to bring in Clase to face Judge. So he's the mechanism in that lineup. I think everything else works off of him.
Yeah, I think that Juan Soto looks like the same Juan Soto we watched all year long, and that's a great compliment to him. The at-bats will never change. You mentioned the walk. He's going to take his base on balls if they don't pitch to him. And I think we're just waiting for that one huge moment as a New York Yankee in the postseason. We know he's already got his first home run as a Yankee in the postseason. When is he going to get a dramatic big swing of the bat like Judge and Stanton did last night? I'm sure it's coming at some point.
I'm glad Michael brought up the 4-pitch walk, because those pitches were not really near the strike zone, but how many hitters in that moment would have been eager and might have strayed a little bit out of the strike zone to try and do too much? Juan Soto will not do that. He is not going to expand the strike zone. He's going to make you throw strikes. Obviously, that's a big at-bat because Judge comes through with his epic at-bat after that. It wasn't a losing effort, but it's just another indication of what the Yankees can do and have done against the Guardians' pen.
Well, little reminder now for how tonight's coverage will work. The Yankees pregame here on Yes will take you right up to 7:30, which is when the Brooklyn Nets' final preseason game against the Toronto Raptors tips off. But if you want more coverage for Game 4 of the ALCS, flip over to the Gotham Sports app at 7:30. Our pregame will continue there. So there's a busy night ahead, and the Yankees' big bats were plenty busy yesterday. We talk Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, and a couple of massive home runs next on the FanDuel Yankees pregame.
The Yankees pregame show on Yes is presented by FanDuel. New FanDuel customers can get $300 in bonus bets when your $5 bet wins. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Williams, and I want to share with you the role that diabetes has had in my family. I lost my grandmother at the early age of 64 due to complications with diabetes. She was warm, generous, and a constant encouragement for me to follow my heart. Did you know that African Americans experience chronic kidney disease at a rate that's 25% higher than white Americans? And we're almost 4 times more likely to develop kidney failure. Diabetes and high blood pressure are leading causes of kidney disease, which can result in kidney failure, needing dialysis, or a kidney transplant. The good news is that you have the power to check out how well your kidneys are doing and learn ways to prevent them from failing. So go to your doctor and get yourself checked out. Visit linkmylovetv.org to learn more. Get the facts, get checked, and get healthy.
The promise of America is freedom, equality. But right now, those pillars of our democracy are fragile. Reproductive rights, voting rights, the right to make your own choices and have your voice heard. We must act now to restore and protect these freedoms for us and for the future. We are the American Civil Liberties Union, and we are fighting in every state, every day to defend your rights and the rights of all people.
We have got to be here. We've got to be strong to protect those rights.
For over 100 years, the ACLU has fought for everyone to have a voice and equal justice, and we will never stop. Because we, the people, means all of us. To learn more about defending our democracy, go to myaclu.org today.
Yankees are down 3-1.
Judge, line drive, right field.
That ball is gone.
Judge has homered.
A two-run home run to tie the game.
Judge in the clutch.
Oh, I've never seen a ball get out of this park that fast.
And here's Stanton.
That ball's hit well, deep center field.
It is gone.
Judge and Stanton go back to back.
And a belly to belly. And the Yankees take the lead.
The two giants in the Yankees lineup. It's 4-3 Yankees.
Isn't that amazing? Well, that's amazing.
Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton are the Audi clutch performers. Back-to-back home runs in the 8th inning in ALCS Game 3. That is the third time in Major League postseason history it's happened in the 8th inning or later. They homer in the same game for the 50th time. For Judge, 15 career postseason homers, and for Stanton, 14. And do you put any stock in the fact that they not only said, we got your guy, but we got one of the elite closers in baseball?
There's a lot to that. I mean, there's a mental part of this that both Judge and Stanton are looking at Clase and saying, we've had success against you. There's a positive feeling in the dugout that this guy isn't invincible. But I think with Judge and Stanton, they're going to look at the way Clase pitched both of them. Stanton got a mistake, a get-me-over. It's not a get-me-over, a two-strike slider that just kind of stayed middle, and he drilled it to right center field. I felt like Aaron Judge learned a little bit something about Clase, that he's going to pitch him away, did not want to come inside. So I think there's that cat and mouse of going back and forth, Jack.
Yeah, in his post-game interview, I thought Judge gave a breakdown of his at-bat that was so insightful because of what you said, John, understanding what Clase was trying to do in, but then when he sees something away, a pitch right on the black, not many hitters are going to do that. Stephen Vogt talked about being a manager who at that moment didn't want to see that, but as a baseball fan said, how could you not appreciate that? One more look at this, and this is just a perfect swing, and that ball got out in an instant and in a hurry and tied the ball game. And on Stanton's, I understand what you're saying, John, about the pitch, but the reason he got to that pitch is because he fouled out 3 other pitches. He made Clase work so hard, Michael, that, okay, the cutter's not getting this guy out. I can't strike him out. I'm going to go with the breaking pitch, and Stanton walloped it.
You know, as a baseball fan, the thing that gets me is if the Yankees had won that game and go on to win this series, go to the World Series, those are forever home runs. I just hope that in the scheme of things, because they ended up losing the game, it's not lost like the Soriano home run in Game 7 in 2001, the Mattingly home run in 1995 against the Mariners. Those were 2 clutch home runs that would have gone down in Yankee history if the Yankees had won the game. I think they'll still be remembered, especially if the Yankees win the series. But if the Yankees don't win the series and they lost that game, it's going to be forgotten.
All right, guys, let's find out what's happening in Cleveland right now. Meredith Marakovich standing by with the Clubhouse Report. Meredith, let's talk as we go back to the bullpens. And Yankees last night, Holmes and Weaver, Cleveland got to them, but they also got to Clase. How do the Yankees feel about their bullpen going into Game 4 tonight?
Bob, this Yankees team as a whole has been confident all season long, and they have proven that they have been resilient all season long. They've taken pride in the fact that they're able to have short memories, turn the page quickly, and get back out there and focus on the moment. When you look at that bullpen, they had been fantastic prior to that moment. They were pitching to a .99 ERA. Luke Weaver had Joe Kenzie Noel 0-2 in that particular situation with 2 outs. It looked like they were going to get out of it, and obviously, as we know, it did not work out in the Yankees' favor. Now, one thing we do know, they're going to need to find a way to bounce back, and they have the utmost confidence that they are going to be able to do so.
There's still a lot of confidence in the guys here. I mean, we've taken blows all year long, and there's no doubt we can, overcome this and bounce back. There's, it's a resilient, group of guys, and still a lot of confidence here, and I have a lot of confidence that we can come out tomorrow and bounce back.
Just got to execute. Just really felt like I let the team down there, myself down, and it's baseball. Things like that happen, and a twist of an arm, and it just feels a little devastating. But at the end of the day, like you said, you got to bounce back. We're still in a good position. You felt like there's some momentum there, but they earned it. I mean, it was a crazy game. I mean, the bats were hot, and the ball was flying out of the park. So big at bat there from Noel. Just threw the worst pitch of the outing, and looked like he was just ready to aggressively swing. So he got it, and so I just got to flush it. I feel like it's coming out good. I feel the body's solid, and just got to put this one to the side.
And Luke Weaver had been so good since moving into that closer's role. He really hasn't had to overcome any adversity. When he was asked after the game why he thinks he's going to be able to go back out there and get the job done, he simply looked at the camera and said, "I don't have any other choice." Now, guys, it really will be interesting to see who's actually available out of the bullpen tonight. Yes, it is the postseason, but Aaron Boone does not like to go to guys 4 games in 5 days, and that's exactly what would happen with Luke Weaver, a guy that has been leaned on a tremendous amount so far. When I spoke to Weaver after the game, he said he feels strong, he feels healthy, but you don't want to jeopardize him for the rest of the postseason should something happen out there. So whether or not Weaver is available, we'll have to wait and see, as well as Clay Holmes. One guy that is available is Marcus Stroman. Michael, I already know that you kind of hinted towards that. You have Luis Gil going on the mound tonight for the Yankees. He's pitching in a major league setting for the first time since September 28th. It's almost 3 weeks to the day since he was out here on a major league mound. Yes, he threw a simulated game a couple days ago at the stadium, but he only threw about 60-plus pitches in that one, so you don't know how much he's going to be able to give you. Marcus Stroman could give you length should they need that. They also made a roster move today. We saw Ian Hamilton exit yesterday's game early after coming off the mound. Obviously, he was not right. He tried to throw a warm-up pitch, and it did not go well. They announced today a low-grade calf strain. So Ian Hamilton is done for the CS. They brought Mark Leiter Jr. back. He's actually been traveling with the team. He's been throwing bullpens. Aaron Boone said about Mark Leiter Jr., we know he is capable. So another fresh arm out of that pen this evening, Bob.
Meredith, let's talk a little bit about the lineup configuration tonight. Obviously, the thing that jumped out, and we talked about it a bit, Jazz Chisholm Jr. in the cleanup spot. Can you tell us what went into that thought process?
Well, I think it's a couple things, Bob. First of all, Austin Wells obviously has not been hitting this postseason, just 2 for 26. Aaron Boone said he wanted to move him down a little bit and take a little bit of the pressure off there. When asked why he thinks Wells has not been able to get going so far, he said it could be a little bit that he's worn down. Also, it's very difficult to hit in the postseason. That's part of it as well. He feels like he is just missing pitches that he typically hits. So he said somebody has to bat fourth, and Jazz Chisholm is the guy that he likes in that spot right now. Now, Jazz Chisholm has not had the best postseason offensively either. He's just 4 for 27. He was on base twice yesterday. He stole a base. I asked if there was any consideration to moving Anthony Rizzo there. Small sample size since he's been back on the active roster. 3 for 7 there, but he said in moving Rizzo to the cleanup spot, should he have to pull him because of his hand, it kind of puts Rizzo in a tough situation, and it could potentially put the Yankees in a difficult situation. So that's why they opted to not go that direction. So the Yankees lineup looking a little bit different. We'll see whether or not it works out. One thing we do know, Luis Gil will get the ball when the Yankees take the field, and you'll hear from him, Bob, later in the show.
Thank you, Meredith. Look forward to that. We'll see you on the post game as well later on. Now let's take a look at the Guardians starting lineup tonight that will face Luis Gil. It's brought your way courtesy of Toyota. Brian Rocchio has homered in his career off Luis Gil just once in the postseason. He's batting .407 with a double, a homer, and 3 runs. This is a team that went 3 for 13 with runners in scoring position last night, left 11 men on base. So, guys, as we take a look at the Guardians lineup, which is the same starting lineup as last night, Michael, do you think that they've been emboldened a little bit because they finally were able to put a little more of a dent in the Yankees pitching?
I think they have to be. I mean, just in human nature being what it is, they were 1 strike away from going down 3-0. The series would have been over, and they had these 2 dramatic home runs. We talk about the Yankees' dramatic home runs. Well, those home runs are going to be forever in Cleveland lore as well. They have to feel good about things. Now they're facing a pitcher who hasn't pitched on a mound in 3 weeks to a major league batter, and I think they've got to feel much better than they did even yesterday. They were down 2-0 when they came into yesterday's game. They took a 3-1 lead. They gave it back and then took it back again. They have to feel 1,000 times better than they did in the 8th inning.
We've mentioned a lot about Gil not pitching in a major league game, and we should. It's been almost 3 weeks, but I'm going to flip to the other side of the argument. When Gil is on, he is as hard to hit as any pitcher in Major League Baseball. Batters hit 189 against him this season. The Yankees are really hoping that he is on. And, Bob, as you read that lineup, my eyes focused right on Kwan. Because what have we seen Kwan do? Extend at-bats, be a pest, and make pitchers work very hard. If Gil can get through that first inning, not let Kwan or anyone else damage him, I think it could be a good night for him.
Yeah, when you listen to people around the Guardians talk about what they did in Yankee Stadium, they didn't play their style of baseball, and they lost both of their games. I don't know if last night's game was their style coming back with those big home runs, but they started to play a little bit better defense, started to have better at-bats. So, Michael, to your point, they're feeling 100 times better about themselves. But again, I go back to Stephen Vogt, their manager. A lot of pressure on him, some of the decisions that he's going to make. David Fry with the big home run, he's going to be looming on that bench at some point. Noel is also a guy, and he pushed all the right buttons at the end of that game, but I think there are going to be a lot of decisions early in this one. A lot of pressure on Stephen Vogt.
Well, not since El Duque in 1998 as a Yankees rookie starting pitcher started a game in the American League Championship Series. And up next on the FanDuel Yankees pregame, Flash dives into what to expect from the very well-rested Luis Gil. Stick around.
Only 1 in 5 people with disabilities, including those with autism, are employed, despite many having the skill set and desire to work. Why? Outdated stigmas and beliefs. So let us make it easy. This is a job for someone with autism. This is a job for someone with autism. So is this. That job? Also perfect. Businesses value diversity, but sometimes overlook the unique strengths and abilities of the autism community. Introducing WIN, the Workplace Inclusion Now program by Autism Speaks. We bridge the gap and help businesses lead the way in inclusive hiring. Yes, these are all jobs for someone with autism. To learn more and lead the way in inclusive hiring, go to autismspeaks.org/win. Yep, that job too.
Think buying fake products is harmless? Think again. Think fake cosmetics are tested and safe? Think again. Think that medicine you can buy off social media is high quality? Think again. Counterfeits are made in unsafe conditions, potentially using hazardous and even lethal ingredients that could harm you and others. Each year, billions of dollars worth of counterfeit products are sold in the U.S. I smell big crime. Think about it. If you don't know where the products came from, how could you know where the money goes? You're smart. Buy smart. Go for real.
What if you went to your secret hiding place and found this? All drug use comes with risk. Before those risks become real, know that you can quit. For help with drug use, call 1-800-662-HELP for free and confidential information and treatment referral, or go to samhsa.gov/know-the-risks.
Back against the wall, if I fall, I still crawl. Back to my knees, bloody, I still brawl. Who you gonna call? Everybody got phones off. Am I a Hercules? Ground morning and nightfall. Back against the wall, if I fall, I still crawl. Back to my knees, bloody, I still brawl. Who you gonna call? Everybody got phones off. Am I a Hercules? Ground morning and nightfall.
Luis Gil, a remarkable rookie season, and tonight he takes the ball in the pivotal Game 4 for the Yankees. Good to have you back. We're going to take a look at Gil and our player spotlight, brought to you by your Tri-State Cadillac dealer. And it's amazing, isn't it, the importance of this start, Flash. But if you go back to when the season began, spring training, they didn't quite know what they had, right?
Yeah, I think we all need a reminder of the story of Luis Gil this year. Coming into spring training, coming back from Tommy John surgery, he was sent down to the minor leagues, was a non-factor, was not going to make the Yankee team, not make their rotation. Then all of a sudden he shows up at Clearwater, Florida, and faces the Philadelphia Philly team, and all of a sudden he dominates with his fastball jumping out of his hand. And everybody will say, oh, it's a spring training game, it doesn't mean anything. The Phillies were running out the big boys that game that afternoon, and Luis Gil dominated with one pitch, an electric fastball. You can see the body language, the way he's coming off of the mound. This got the Yankees' attention. Garrett Cole goes down with an injury. He has an amazing rookie season, and he's pitching Game 4 in the ALCS in a big-time swing game. So I just think we needed to go back and remind everybody where this story started, and it's going to continue tonight in Game 4.
All right, so let's kind of break him down, starting pitch by pitch, the evolution of Luis Gil. The one thing they knew from that outing, and of course from having him in their system, he had the great fastball to start the season.
Yeah, I think it's the evolution of a young pitcher, right, at the major league level. The Yankees trying to develop a young pitcher at the big league level. We just showed what his bread and butter is, and that's the fastball. Can you get through a major league lineup during the regular season with one pitch? Luis Gil was doing that at the beginning of the year. He was basically saying, here's my fastball. I don't think you can hit it. And what we're seeing from this is the confidence of a young pitcher proving to himself, I can pitch at this level, and I can do it pretty much with one pitch. But we all know you can't get through a major league season as a starting pitcher with one pitch. You got to change speeds. You got to come up with some sort of off-speed pitch, at least one, maybe two of those off-speed pitches in order to get through a lineup a couple of times and take your game to the next level.
All right, so then based on that, again, he's feeling good about himself, confident. What was his next step?
He went to a changeup right away, which is very unusual for a young pitcher. A changeup is the one pitch that's really hard to teach. The slider usually is easier, but for some reason, the changeup for Luis Gil was the pitch that he had a good feel for. Good action down and away right there. Able to sell the changeup. It looks like a fastball. It dives away. The one thing we noticed when he developed this changeup, it was like he found a new toy and he wanted to throw it. He was throwing it about 30% of the time. And I was thinking to myself, you're probably overexposing this pitch, but he had the good combination of velocity, change of speeds with action down and away. He went high with the fastball, low with the changeup, and got really good results.
All right, so he has two pitches now, but to be successful, got to be a three-pitch pitcher at least. He has the slider. He starts to use it and incorporate it. Didn't go that great.
It didn't go great. And we talk about two-pitch pitchers. They're usually relievers. So Luis Gil obviously wanted to be a big-time starting pitcher in the big leagues. Tried to go with a slider. You're taking a look at this. I mean, very little break. He gives up some damage here in Seattle. Doesn't have good feel for it and is not getting the swings and misses. And when we look back at this slider, the bad ones, that's the grip he was using. And all of a sudden, his season changed around that Subway Series.
Yeah, his buddy, it's the thank you, Luis, for teaching me this new grip and the new spin.
Yeah, Luis Severino says, hey, why don't you try this? The grip on the left, the good slider. And all of a sudden, he started getting about 2.5 more inches on the break with the slider. It went from a bad third pitch to a really good second pitch. And you can see the action on that slider right there. So now at this point in the year, Luis is thinking, I got a slider, I got another new toy. He pretty much wiped out the changeup, went with the slider, was getting all of these swings and misses, and you're thinking, okay, this is what he's going to be, a 3-pitch pitcher, but he went the other way. He went fastball slider, got away from the changeup, and I feel like the changeup got away from him at the end of the year, and it was a pitch you probably lost confidence in. So how much this guy has changed from the beginning of spring training with being a 1-pitch pitcher to developing a good changeup, now a slider. It really asks the question, what are we going to see tonight from Luis Gil?
Yeah, so I will ask you that because you think first half of the season, he essentially was Garrett Cole in his Cy Young winning season last year. Faded a little bit, lost some of his mechanics, so was walking more batters. He hasn't pitched in almost 3 weeks, so what do you expect tonight?
Yeah, it's going to be that first inning where we're really watching fastball command, and we showed the life of his fastball the whole year. But for me, it's going to be, can he locate it? We know that Luis Gil has the stuff to dominate a lineup, but we also know he can spray the ball around a little bit. You mentioned it, hasn't pitched in a big league game in about 3 weeks. If he can get his fastball over on the outside corner to righties, that's going to be a really good sign for him. I mentioned the changeup has gotten away from him. At the end of the year, he was dropping his arm a little bit, almost trying to create a little spin down and away, and hitters will pick up on that really, really easily. So I think tonight, look for the fastball away early, look for the sweep on the slider. If he can land that slider in the strike zone, then you're going to feel pretty good about your chances.
All right, sounds good. From the starter to the bullpen, the Yankees relievers had been nearly spotless until Game 3. And coming up, we'll look back at what happened, and we'll check the state of the pen for tonight. That's next on the FanDuel Yankees pregame.
Children are the greatest joy and our best hope for a better future. Friends, they are the future. But did you know that millions of kids right here in our own backyard are facing hunger every day? Without healthy food, it's harder to grow, to thrive, to feel their best.
The impact when children don't have enough to eat is tremendous because when you're hungry and your basic needs aren't being met, you cannot learn.
Every child deserves to be fed. This is a problem we know how to solve. Food is not just food. It's energy, health, confidence, hope, and even love. Yes, love.
Breakfast in the classroom contributes to kids being more focused, which leads to higher grades, and simply just their well-being.
Learn more about how No Kid Hungry is helping end child hunger in America at helpnokidhungry.org.
Wounded Warrior Project has been with me every step of my journey.
Aaron, how you doing, bro? With experiences that help me realize that I'm not alone.
And specialized programs that give me the tools to train my body and mind.
Now, it's possible for me to get back out there.
To get out of my comfort zone and try new things.
To build and be part of a community that supports other warriors.
It's possible to get the help I need for me and my family.
I got my confidence back. I'm setting goals and I'm achieving them.
It's possible to feel understood, whether it's day one or 20 years down the road, they've got your back.
And as each warrior's needs evolve, Wounded Warrior Project is adapting to meet them.
Because when we pull together,
it's possible to go further than you ever imagined.
It may sound funny, but hearing actually happens in our brains, not our ears. Our ears are like mail carriers that deliver sound, so our brains can figure out what's going on. So what is going on? Well, it's pretty simple. When our ears work better, our brains hear better. And that's a happier thing. Like Happy Dance, happier.
Hearing loss puts you at greater risk for dementia. So see a hearing professional and let's get those ears checked.
The Yankees pregame show on Yes is brought to you in part by Montefiore Einstein, the official hospital of the New York Yankees.
After Game 4 tonight, Game 5 of the American League Championship Series between the Yankees and Guardians is Saturday night in Cleveland. Our coverage begins at 7 o'clock, and then if necessary, the series would return to the Bronx on Monday. Good to have you back with us on the FanDuel Yankees pregame. And another reminder, we're going to be here on Yes until 7:30, at which point we'll head over to the Gotham Sports app for a special extended pregame Marathon exclusive interview with Luis Heel. We're going to hear from the managers, and we'll take you right up to first pitch in Cleveland, a little after 8 o'clock.
An hour and a half?
An hour and a half.
I didn't know this.
90 full minutes. Well,
I've got to do some more homework.
Oh, you do?
Please, go on.
Okay. All right, I'll talk to Jack and Flash. Actually, I'm going to talk to Jack about Luke Weaver and what happened to him last night. You know, people see that he gave up some big hits, but also he was within a strike of making it 3-0 in the series.
And he talked about that post-game, Bob, and he dissected those at-bats and let everyone know what bothered him about those at-bats. So let's start with the Thomas at-bat, which precedes Noel's 2-run homer. He starts him out with a changeup. Thomas doesn't swing, and now he's going to go to his fastball, so he's up 0-2. Here's where Weaver laments that he didn't take control of the at-bat. He sprays that fastball on the outside corner. Another fastball, tried to overthrow there. Didn't try to overthrow, but did. Now he's 2-2. He goes changeup again, 3-2. He's got to throw his fastball here. That's the pitch you trust most to throw for a strike. And Thomas almost hits it out of the ballpark. It's going to end up being a double. You see Judge retrieving it right there. Still, you're in business if you can get one more out. And here comes Noel off the bench after a quick meeting with pitching coach Matt Blake, and he's going to start him off with a fastball. He yanks that one as well. Now, if you're going to throw your changeup, it better be good, and it wasn't. He speeds up the bat of Noel, who's probably thinking fastball right there. And when that happened, the Guardians had rallied to tie the game 5-5. One more look at it. That changeup hangs up in the zone. We've seen him throw a lot of changeups with a ton of fade this year. That was not one of them. As close to flawless as Weaver has been as a closer, last night was a problem.
Yeah, in addition to allowing 0 earned runs across his final 8 regular season appearances, Weaver started his postseason with 6 scoreless frames, but over his last 2 games, he allowed 3 runs and a couple of homers. And in our Citizens quote of the day, Weaver was asked if the increased workload has played a role.
A lot of layers. I mean, you can't just sit there and kind of point out one exact thing. I think, you know, you come into the 8th inning and you sit down a little bit, your adrenaline kind of settles in. You know, you go back out there and you got to recharge and go. So, you know, when you come in from the bullpen into a start of an inning, you have a lot of adrenaline going on, and so there's a little bit of that starter mentality from the past of like, how do I manage my emotions in between innings, especially if it's a long inning, how do I recharge and go back out there. Obviously I felt like if you face Ramirez right there off the rip, you really got to lock in, and he put a good swing on it and made a good pitch to Naylor, and then we're back into the momentum. And I think tonight was just tough in the fact that you know, the ball just didn't come out and get Thomas out. I mean, I don't know what else to say besides that, but the workload and everything, it is what it is. I mean, everybody's played the whole season and done their thing, so there's never any excuse, and it's about doing your job.
Weaver and Clay Holmes have pitched in every postseason game. Weaver threw 20 pitches yesterday, Canely 26, Holmes just 8. Before we talk about availability, I wanted to ask you, people say, well, is he fatigued? I could almost make the argument the other way, that the high fastball, the ones he yanked outside, maybe just a little overamped.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate Luke's answer right there. He said it is what it is at this point. Everybody's fatigued, but Jack, you did a great job breaking down those highlights from last night. When I was watching it, he was missing more last night off the plate than we had seen at any point during the postseason. And when I looked at velocity, he was hanging around 95 miles an hour. When there were people around the game saying he was the best reliever at this point in the season during that first series, he was locked in on the corners, and he was throwing about 97, 98. So now you just have to ask, is it fatigue? Is it he had a bad night? Whatever it is, it didn't go well. Now we watch how he responds if he gets in there tonight.
Here's my big concern. I was asked this question by a caller on the radio show, and I really didn't have an answer. They said, how will Weaver bounce back? We have no idea. He's never blown a save. Now, he seems very relaxed. He's quirky. He's funny. But will he take that home run that he gave up onto the mound? One of the great things about Mariano Rivera, he washed it away right away. Couple of hours, it was gone. Even Game 7 of the 2001 World Series, he did not let that stay with him. What will Weaver's mindset be? We don't know.
Young Mariano in '97, when he gave up the Alomar Jr. homer in Game 4, Yankees lose in Game 5. He said he couldn't watch that play for a month. But then Mariano became emboldened. He did watch it, and he said, I helped Alomar out. I had so much velocity on that fastball that he just went the other way with it. But you're right, Michael. We don't know who Luke Weaver is yet. I do think his quirkiness and his sort of flaky, I don't want to use that, but he's just low-key. I think that's going to work in his favor. He likes to joke around. He seemed like he's ready to turn the page. And the Yankees want to turn the page, guys, because I want to throw some numbers at you. That loss last night, before that, the Yankees, when they had a lead of at least 2 runs in a postseason game in the 9th inning, they had been 172-1. They're now 172-2. The one loss, 2022, Game 3 against the Guardians.
By the way, Weaver said he was going to get some sleep, and then you wake up and have a meal. So if he's like Michael, maybe just threw down a plain burger or some chicken parm, something like that.
Sure.
Yeah. Do we kind of by acclamation agree with Jack that if it comes to it tonight, even though he threw 20 pitches last night, we're going to see Weaver again?
I don't think you're going to see him for 4 outs. I think the only way you could see him is a 1-out save, and I think they have to think twice about it. I'm not saying that you stay away from him because he gave up that home run. If he is in fact fatigued, and they know that, they've got all the computer readouts, and if his arm is dropping and why those pitches were outside the strike zone, if he's tired, you can't force the issue. You have to come up with another plan. But he's pitched as much as Holmes, so think about it. Who would you have close? It's a tough call.
Yeah, can we make the argument that if you protect these relievers during the regular season, you have to unleash them during the postseason, right? Isn't that why you're protecting them? And obviously, if his stuff is diminished and he's saying he can't get it done, then that's an issue. But I think every great reliever at this point of the year is saying, I will find a way to get it done. I will make a big pitch when I need to. So I would agree with Michael. I think if he gets a chance tonight, it's going to be for 3 outs.
And I would also say this, if they did decide there was a closing opportunity tonight and they didn't go to Luke Weaver, what are you saying to Luke Weaver about their faith in him? Because I look at what has happened to him, and John talked about those fastballs missing their spots. He's given up a couple of home runs on misplaced changeups. So I think they still have confidence in Weaver. And I don't know who they would go to. If it's not Weaver, then who?
What are they saying to Weaver, and also what are they saying to the rest of the team? If you don't bring your closer who's been lights out, he had one bad game, you give him a chance to rebound and see what he's going to do.
All right, guys, we're going to take another break. Gavin Williams hasn't pitched since September 22nd, but he gets the ball tonight for Cleveland. Up next on the FanDuel Yankees pregame, we'll break down the hard-throwing righty, so keep it right here.
If anyone knows the joy of rescuing animals, it's me. Just ask my rescues, who are all very important members of my family. Your life can also be forever changed by adopting a shelter pet. And it's not just about happiness your pet gets from finding a loving home, but that which you'll get from bringing them into your life. The heroes at American Humane have been helping animals for more than 140 years, whether it's rescuing animals caught in disasters, ensuring the safety of animals' stars on screen, or protecting our planet's endangered species. They go above and beyond to further their mission and make the world a kinder place for animals. Please consider adopting a shelter pet and support American Humane. You can learn more at AmericanHumane.org.
My dad, he's a double amputee, and he's one of my favorite people in the world. To me, a hero is someone who fights for our country and freedom. My dad is a hero. Homes for Our Troops built this house, and it's basically made for him. My dad can get through the wide doorways. When he is making our lunch, he can reach anything we need. He'll help me build tiny projects. Life is good here. Without Homes for Our Troops, we'd be living in a home that didn't have all these features that helped him.
Homes for Our Troops builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post-9/11 veterans and enables them to rebuild their lives.
If they get a new house like this one, it'll help them do normal life. My dad's not just a hero, he's my hero.
Join our mission at hfotusa.org.
Following the destruction left behind by Hurricanes Helene and Milton, the American Red Cross is providing relief for areas and communities that were severely impacted by the storms. Donations to the disaster relief operations can be made at redcross.org/Yankees. On to our Nissan pitching matchup. Luis Gil went 15-7 in his rookie campaign, holding opponents to a 189 average. On the other side, Gavin Williams didn't make his season debut until July 3rd because of elbow inflammation. Then the 25-year-old righty went 3-10 with an ERA close to 5, but he does have some powerful stuff. StatCast 3D, powered by Google Cloud, shows us the repertoire for Williams, a 6'6", 2021 first-round pick. More than half of the pitches he threw were four-seamers, and he backs it up with a curveball that opponents hit just 155 against. The fastball has some heat, averaging close to 97. Kind of feel we're talking a little bit about like our segment with Luis Gil, right?
Absolutely. Same type of thing with both of these starting pitchers, and I think the only people who have any sort of an idea what he's going to do tonight are the Guardians and their staff and their teammates, because tonight's game becomes all about personality for a starting pitcher. He hasn't pitched in almost a month. He's got the stuff to dominate a lineup, but what is his mental makeup? What is his fortitude? Is he going to be the guy that says, nobody counts on me tonight, I'll show you? Or is he going to be the guy that folds under the bright lights of Game 4 in the ALCS? I don't think anybody knows. The Guardians feel good about it. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, I said before that Gil wants to have a quick first inning and get off to a great start. Williams is in the same boat. He wants to get that crowd involved. And we're talking about a guy who's 6'6", with great extension towards the plate. Average on the fastball is about 97. Bob, you mentioned the curveball. Nobody hits it at 150. So those numbers for the Yankees could be ominous. He does have a tendency to walk batters. And the other thing, Michael, you look at his numbers at home, 0-7 with a 6.5 ERA.
You know, we're all talking about what great stuff he has. Look at his numbers, though. They're not good. So he's not getting that many people out. And I am not a believer in sim games. There's no way you could recreate what's happening in a game. For him to not have been on a major league mound since September 22nd, now pitching a huge game for the Guardians, you got to show me, because I'm not expecting much out of him.
Jack, how do you feel about sim games?
I love the sim game that I witnessed last Sunday. Luis Gil, I was watching the ball fly out of his hand. I really took a bunch of notes, right. And then I went and got a cup of tea.
Well, let's table that thought, because we're going to talk about Gil coming up. It's a couple of young right-handers on the bump for Game 4. Up next on the FanDuel Yankees pregame, we're going to talk about the expectations for both starters, including Luis Gil. So keep it here on Yes.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. Innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions. Telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready? Explore teaching at teach.org.
Half of young adults are at risk of hearing damage from loud sounds. So why is this happening? We know not to bake in the sun for hours and to get our eyes checked regularly. We buckle up to save lives. And we know that smoking kills. So do poor diet choices and poor life choices. But why are we so reckless with our hearing? We take hearing for granted. Hearing damage from loud sounds is permanent, but preventable. We take common sense steps for our health every day. Let's make hearing part of it. Wear earplugs. Turn it down. Give your ears a rest. Love your ears. Learn more at hearinghealthfoundation.org. Keep listening.
I was diagnosed at 65.
37. Earlier than most.
Every 9 minutes, someone is diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
And every one of them can turn to the American Parkinson Disease Association. Visit apdaparkinson.org to learn more and show your support today.
After last night's thriller, FanDuel Sportsbook is expecting another tight game in game number 4 between the Yankees and the Guardians. The Yankees' money line is -120, which puts their implied win odds at 54.6%. Total for this game sits at 7.5 runs, the over at -112. Pitching matchup here is Luis Gil taking on Gavin Williams. Gil's strikeout prop is 4.5. Over for him is +106. Williams' number is very low, 3.5. His over is -102. Aaron Judge sitting a +285 to go deep in this game. He, of course, leads away. Giancarlo Stanton second at +350, followed by Juan Soto at +520. As always, if you like multiple bets in the same game, you can bundle them together with a FanDuel Sportsbook same game parlay. Just click the same game parlay tab in your FanDuel Sportsbook app to see which bets are eligible.
Our Ford marquee matchup looks at a key pitch for tonight's game. Luis Gil held opponents to a 171 batting average on his slider. That led American League starters. Cleveland's offense, meanwhile, batted .205 against sliders, and that was the 4th worst in the majors. Jack, you've covered baseball for over 30 years. What's your favorite sim game that you've covered?
Well,
was it Gil?
It probably was Sunday's game where I watched it with Meredith Marakovitz. We took copious notes. I brought it all into our shows. I'm obviously joking around. We're just having some fun with Michael. But in that sim game, I will say this, Bob, not a lot of contact against Gil. As Michael would say, it was meaningless. He was facing Yankee minor leaguers. But I'm glad we ended that segment by talking about the slider. You and Flash already brought that up. But in his last 12 games, almost 3 inches more break on that pitch, Michael. So he's already got the fastball. He's already got the changeup. But he really loves throwing that slider as well.
I'm wondering, though, do you go into a sim game like it's a regular game to keep score?
I take notes.
But not score.
If it's a playoff game that is looming and the pitcher who is in the sim game is going to pitch in the postseason, I'm all over that. So I'm watching it like a scout.
He's 60 pitches, right?
He only threw about 60 pitches.
See, to me, that worries me. I mean, he could throw 60 pitches in 2 innings tonight, especially if he's spraying the ball all over the place. That's my biggest concern because you're not really locked in, and they didn't stretch him out. So he's thrown 60 pitches in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the emotion because I think the one thing we've seen from Luis Gil this year, when he's locked in, he knows he can dominate any lineup. But on the flip side, we've seen him go into the dugout, slam his glove against the wall. So to me, this could go either way. If he gets off to a good start and starts believing, okay, I have it, I have my good fastball, I have my command, then all of a sudden you have something here that could dominate for 4 or 5 innings.
Yeah, back to our segment earlier, when he does, sometimes in a big moment, get a little quick jack, the mechanics get out of whack, and he gets underneath it on the fastball, and it gets it up into the hitting zone.
And that's when he has problems. And I know that there's less of this that can happen with the pitch clock, but Flash, I actually think that Wells and Matt Blake have to be on Gil tonight for all the stuff that we're talking about. If he sprays a couple of pitches and they notice, like Bob said, that he's dropping his arm, you can't let that linger for an inning. You've got to call a timeout. Somebody's got to make sure they remedy that.
Just think how important the first inning is on what Cleveland did last night to end that game. They're going to be coming out with so much momentum and so much energy. Luis Gil on the other side of that, to your point, Jack, slow the game down in the first inning. Make sure Ramirez and Naylor don't get a big swing against you.
Now, not to give people the wrong idea. He's got great stuff. He could go out there and shove for 5-6 innings, and that's just what the Yankees need, but there is a question mark. He's a young pitcher. This now becomes a big game. It'd be a lot easier for him if the Yankees had won last night. Now it's 2-1. You don't want to give the Guardians a chance to make it 2-2. He's got a lot of pressure. He knows that his bullpen is a little bit fatigued. He's got to give them some innings, and having not pitched in 3 weeks is a bit of a concern.
All right, more to come here on the FanDuel Yankees pregame. Yankees and Guardians getting ready for Game 4 of the American League Championship Series after a classic last night. Keeping it here on Yes and the Gotham Sports app.
Pass the ketchup. Dad, are you okay?
Yeah, just stressed out.
Oh, and the melody is sounding so much better. I can play it for you. Wait, where's your guitar?
I gave it to your cousin.
What? That guitar's like your favorite thing.
I don't need it anymore. Some days are just better than others.
I think you should go talk to someone.
It's not that easy.
Have you been thinking about suicide? You can talk to me, Dad.
Why is just a starting line, for the true self blooms only when we find our purpose, what makes us tick, below the surface. Our reason why is united, undivided, seeking understanding. My why is diversity and unity, a safe space in my community. It's a million faces in a mirror, and everyone belongs. Find your why for a better us.
Diversity is in our nature. Diverse cultures, identities, skills, and knowledge. Diversity is in nature, too. Biodiversity. Plants, animals, and ecosystems. It connects us and sustains us. But nature's biodiversity is at risk now more than ever before, and our own future is at stake. So ask yourself, how can you contribute to protecting all life on our planet? Because the future is in our hands.
Memorable moments presented by Prevagen, the #1 pharmacist recommended memory support brand, and it's October, so what else could it be? This date in 1977, Reggie Jackson goes deep 3 times in Game 6 of the World Series against the Dodgers. A couple of 2-run homers and a solo shot to cap it off as the Yanks won their first World Series since 1962. Where was little Mike Kay at that time?
Well, he was in front of his TV watching, which was thrilling, and it was an unbelievable. But the thing I remember is opening day the next year, because Reggie said, if I ever play in New York, they'll name a candy bar after me. So they gave out Reggie bars on opening day the next year, and he hits a home run in that game. And everybody threw the Reggie bars on the field, except for little Michael Kay. Yeah. I consumed it.
Do you know, several years later, as in about 3 or 4 years ago, someone sent a case of Reggie bars to Michael Kay to the studio. Someone opened it, and they ended up getting eaten by everyone but Michael. But I do have to say about that game, 3 homers in a World Series game, it stands on its own. It stands on a mountaintop. Against 3 different pitchers, and he hit the first pitch in every at-bat. So Reggie, of course, who did a lot of stuff with flair, even made sure when he hit 3 home runs, he did it with a lot of flair.
Isn't it amazing, too, Flash, you think, when we talk about Judge or Soto, why would you challenge him? They came right at him on the first pitch, and he knocked it out.
It was a different game back there. I remember talking a lot to Ron Guidry, and it was pretty much like, I'm going to give you a couple of fastballs, and if you don't hit them, you might get a slider. So obviously Reggie took care of the heaters first pitch.
All right, guys, final thoughts on our game. And again, I'm thinking, Jack, 2 young guys that haven't pitched in a long time. What is that first inning going to look like for each?
I'm wondering who's going to have the momentum first. John talked about it. The Guardians are going to come out so fired up after the way they won last night's game with a walk-off. But Luis Gil is on the mound, and he can dictate how much that momentum might shift toward the Yankees. I also think the Yankees, the top of their lineup, got to try and give Williams some fits early.
I think the key to this game is going to be how the bullpen is deployed by both sides. I think both of these bullpens are the reasons that teams are where they are. They've been used an awful lot. How do you do it? If it's a short outing by Gil, it's going to be Stroman, and then what after Stroman? It's going to be a very difficult managing job for both Boone and for...
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, I look at both of these lineups against the starting pitchers that we've talked about this whole show. The lineup saying, we'll take responsibility tonight and make it a lot easier on our pitching staff. Last night it was Aaron Judge, it was Giancarlo Stanton. I got a good feeling about Juan Soto tonight.
All right, so you know the drill. After the game is over, you come back to Yes and the Gotham Sports app. We have post-game coverage. After this on Yes, it's going to be the Nets against the Raptors, preseason hoops. We continue for the next 30 minutes on the Gotham Sports app. 30 more minutes of pregame coverage prior to the ALCS. See you on Gotham Sports.
When you see all the people who work at Shriners Hospitals for Children, you might see everyday people just doing their job. But to me and other kids, they aren't just receptionists, therapists, or doctors. They're superheroes. But these superheroes are only able to help all of us kids because of the support of people just like you who empower their abilities so we get the care we need to live our lives like super kids.
Because of people like you, I can play the violin.
I can play piano. And I can walk. Please go to loveshriners.org right away. Help us be superheroes too.
Visit linkedbylovetv.org to learn more about kidney disease, transplantation, and prevention. Get the facts, get checked, and get healthy.
Aaron Judge crushed the game-tying two-run blast in the 8th, and despite some back-to-back magic from Giancarlo Stanton, the New York Yankees watched the Cleveland Guardians rally for their first win of the ALCS. Tonight, they turn to Luis Gil to set the tone in Game 4. We continue to set the tone here on the FanDuel Yankees pregame on the Gotham Sports app. Good to have you with us. Bob Lorenz, John Flaherty, Jack Curry, and Michael Kay with you. 30 more minutes till we get you to Game 4, but let's start by taking a look at the Yankees lineup that will go into action tonight, taking on the right-hander Gavin Williams. And Gleyber Torres has been doing a great job at that leadoff spot. He's 4 for 12 so far. It's Soto, Judge, but what stands out, Michael, Jazz Chisholm Jr. batting in the cleanup spot tonight with Austin Wells down to 8 and Rizzo hitting 6.
Well, Boone said that he is really fixated on balance, and that's the reason he did that, because if you didn't have Jazz Chisholm there and he had Stanton as the cleanup batter, the bottom of the order would be susceptible to bringing in a left-hander. There'd be all lefties down there. So I think that's the reason he went that way. Could he have gone with Rizzo? I guess so, but Jazz has some lightning in his bat. 2 for 12. He's hit the ball well a couple of times in the last couple of games. But one guy that's jumped out at me in that lineup, and we haven't talked a lot about, Anthony Volpe has been great. Yep. He has been great in this postseason. And not only those hits, but he also has 6 walks. Run the bases well, played good defense. For a guy playing in his first postseason, I think he's really done well.
Yeah, he's had some terrific at-bats, very reliable, hitting the ball the opposite way. I understand everything Michael said about balance, and we've watched the Yankees do this all season long. I also understand you don't want to cluster those left-handed hitters together. All of that being said, after the at-bats that Judge and Stanton had off Class A last night, I think if you had those guys hitting back-to-back, Judge 3, Stanton 4, you're making a young pitcher in Williams fear that he's going to have to face Soto, Judge, Stanton, right out of the chute. I get the balance, but Flash, I do wonder if there'll be a moment in this game where they'll sidestep Judge because it's Chisholm and not Stanton behind him.
Yeah, I'm thinking that the attitude that Cleveland has about Aaron Judge has completely changed from the beginning of this series until tonight. Homering in back-to-back games and Chisholm behind there batting cleanup. I wonder if Stephen Vogt's going to pitch around Aaron Judge in some spot. But I go to the cleanup hitter that really did a great job for the second half of the year, Austin Wells, in the lineup, but dropped down to the 8th spot. Been overpowered with the fastball during this series, and you wonder for a young guy, you mentioned Volpe, how good he has been. Austin Wells has been great behind the plate, but he's waiting to get that timing back. Is it fatigue? Is it the moment? I don't know what it is, but he's being attacked with the fastball.
I mean, you could lean on fatigue here. No one's going to admit their fatigue, but for most of the second half of the season, he played every single day, and that doesn't happen with catchers, so maybe he is a bit fatigued, but he's 0 for 10 with 6 strikeouts. Now, speaking of strikeouts, this is an unbelievable stat from Sarah Langs of ESPN. Speaking of Stanton, Stanton struck out in the first game of the ALDS. He has not struck out since. That's 26 plate appearances. Do you guys realize that's the longest streak of his career without a strikeout? That's how locked in he is.
Yeah, he certainly is. And, of course, the Yankees, as we know, have 45 walks overall. They've been really patient at the plate in the postseason. And tonight's starting pitcher for Cleveland was asked how to handle that approach. Here's what Gavin Williams had to say.
I mean, you got to go after him. Can't let him on base. You can't give him free passes.
that's when they start to hurt you, is when you give them free passes. So I'm just going to attack them.
How would you describe the way your season went this year?
I mean, it was a roller coaster. Started off the way I didn't want it to. I wasn't healthy. I was on the IL for a couple months and came back, and it was up and down, but can't really look at that. It's a new season for me right now.
It really is. He missed the first 3 months of the season with right elbow inflammation. And, Jack, he also looks at a body of work at home this season. It has not been good.
Yeah, 0-7 with a 6.5 ERA. So the Guardians are hoping that he can change that around. The Yankees are hoping they can add to those dismal stats. He's 6'6". He throws a fastball that's going to be mid to upper 90s. He's got a curveball that is very hard to hit, around 150, but he also walks batters. And Bob, you talked about that, and he just talked about that. He, like Heel, needs to throw strikes. I don't think the Yankees are going to do Williams any favors. We've seen them throughout this postseason. They make pitchers throw strikes.
He's in a tough spot right here, and I look at the Guardians as we watch them even closer during the series. I'm amazed that they finished in first place in the Central. Their starting pitching, it's really not much. It's all about their bullpen, which has faltered just a bit. When you look at all the teams that are left, the Final Four, the Yankees have the most healthy starting pitching. They have a legitimate starter that's in the bullpen in Marcus Stroman, and it seems like every other team is inventing somebody or doing a bullpen game. The Yankees have not had to do that.
Yeah, the Guardians are hoping for a little lightning in a bottle, and Jack, you talked about his stuff, Williams. He's got a good arm, but the numbers don't back up how quality of a right arm he has. So I think the Guardians are saying, listen, for one night, for one start, we might get something out of this guy and take some pressure off of that bullpen.
All right, we got more to come here on the FanDuel Yankees pregame. Coming up next, Meredith Marakovits catches up with Luis Gil ahead of his postseason debut. Then we'll hear from the managers, Aaron Boone and Stephen Vogt, as they get their teams ready for Game 4. And later, the guys give us some keys to the game, with the Yankees hoping to push the Guardians to the brink. It's all ahead on the Gotham Sports app, so stick around.
At this very moment, Doctors Without Borders is on the ground in communities around the world, delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most. Our teams are bandaging war-wounded patients caught in the crossfire in Sudan, providing clean drinking water in Haiti, and performing emergency C-sections in Yemen. Doctors Without Borders teams are in over 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving work is made possible by our movement of supporters, people like you who help our patients even when they're half a world away. At Doctors Without Borders, we won't stop working to bring our patients and their communities from crisis to care.
Quick look at how the Yankees starting pitchers have fared in the ALCS. Carlos Rodon set the tone in Game 1 with 6 innings, 9 strikeouts, and no walks. Then Garrett Cole and Clark Schmidt both lasted less than 5 innings, but none of the 3 allowed more than 2 runs. Good to have you with us on the FanDuel Yankees pregame. It will be Luis Gil getting the start for the Bombers in Game 4. He hasn't pitched since September 28th, and yesterday Meredith Marakovits caught up with the rookie righty ahead of his postseason debut.
Thanks, Bob. Luis, how much
are you looking forward to getting the ball?
¿Qué tan emocionado te sientes, verdad? De tener la bola, de que te den la bola para abrir ese juego de mañana.
Bastante emocionado y contento a la misma vez.
So much, very excited and looking forward to tomorrow.
You've had a long layoff. What have you been doing to prepare and make sure you're ready?
Tú sabes que ha pasado un tiempito desde la última vez que lanzaste, pero ¿cómo te has estado manteniendo listo para ya así mañana entrar y competir en estos playoffs?
Practicando fuerte, ¿sabes? Con el pitching coach ahí que me tiene, tú sabes, practicando fuerte y ready para esta salida que viene con Dios delante.
Just a lot of work, a good routine of preparation that we've had throughout the year, and then, just working hard with our pitching coach to stay sharp for tomorrow.
You threw a simulated game the other day, 60-plus pitches. How many pitches do you think you can give them tomorrow?
Tú sabes que mencionaste que hiciste un juego simulado el otro día, tiraste 60-plus picheos. Más o menos desde tu punto de vista, ¿qué tanto te ayudó eso y más o menos cuántos picheos tú crees que tú tengas para la salida de mañana?
No, me ayudó bastante, ¿sabes? Me ayudó a ponerme más en línea, tú sabes, porque tenía bastantes días sin tirar y entonces ese juego de simulación me ayudó bastante a mantenerme más en línea para el juego de mañana, si Dios quiere.
¿Más o menos cuántos picheos?
Bueno, que tiré en el IVP.
Para el juego de mañana, ¿tú crees?
No sé decirte realmente.
The live VP is key. It's key because it helps me stay sharp, helps me hone in the command and see how the pitches are moving. Like you said, it was more than 60 pitches. But as far as tomorrow, I don't know exactly how many I'm going to have tomorrow, but looking forward to it.
How did the pitches look yesterday? What did you learn about that outing?
¿Y cómo se vieron, verdad, esos lanzamientos, el comando de los picheos y el rompimiento de los picheos? ¿Cómo se vio?
Se vieron bien, ¿verdad? Se vieron muy en el comando, ¿sabes? Mucho en la zona se vieron y estaban rompiendo bien, en verdad.
Really good, actually. Very happy with the command of the pitches and the shape the pitches had. They were breaking well, so very excited.
What do you think the adrenaline is going to be like for you tomorrow, and how do you handle those emotions, especially early on?
¿Y cómo tú crees que se va a sentir la adrenalina de mañana y cómo vas a navegar todos esos sentimientos que se van a sentir mañana en la lomita?
Se van a sentir bastante bien porque en verdad a mí me gusta, tú sabes, me gusta eso, sentirme así con mucha adrenalina y poder competir en el juego.
I think it's going to be great, to be able to go out there and feel all the different emotions that you're going to feel. Especially pitching in a playoff game. But I enjoy that, I enjoy the adrenaline feeling you get when you're competing in a game like that, and very excited about the opportunity to go out there and compete.
Have you learned anything just being around during the postseason that you think you'll take into tomorrow?
Y has podido aprender algo en todos estos juegos que han pasado, aunque no has visto acción, pero hablando con tu compañero, lo que tú has visto de tu compañero lanzando, ¿qué es algo que tú has podido aprender de todos estos juegos que has visto?
Claro, he aprendido, tú sabes, controlar la emoción, tú sabes, como ellos controlan la emoción, un call, rodón, sabes, yo he visto esos pitches como están tirando y controlan la emoción, eso es bastante bien para mí.
Of course, just being around those guys, and especially in these playoff games, seeing Cole and Rodon out there on the mound, seeing how they're managing and keeping in check their emotions, that I'm seeing that firsthand and I'm learning from that firsthand, so definitely something that I want to implement tomorrow.
What concerns you about this Guardians lineup?
Y entendiendo la alineación de ellos, una alineación dinámica, ¿cómo tú dirías que tú piensas enfrentarlo a ellos, tu plan de ataque?
Bueno, como a todo el equipo, ¿sabes? Como todo el equipo yo le comienzo siempre ejecutando los picheos, atacándolo y nada, tener un buen control y batallar, eso es lo importante.
Yeah, I think I gotta face them, the same way I face every team. It's important for me, for my pitches, to command my pitches and be able to execute my plan of attack. I really believe in that, regardless of who I'm facing. So I'm very reluctant on doing that.
How many people are going to be watching and cheering for you in the DR tomorrow?
Y mañana, ¿cuántas personas tú crees que van a estar viendo el juego allá en tu pueblo, en República Dominicana?
Bueno, la mayoría de personas saben que están locos por verme lanzar en estos playoffs, ¿sabes? Y en verdad se van a sentir muy contentos con el juego de mañana y yo les voy a dar lo mejor de mí, en verdad.
I have so many people, that have been watching all these games, and they kept asking me when I was going to go into a game. And, you know, tomorrow is going to be the day, you know, so I'm very excited about that, very excited for them to see me go out there and compete, and I just got to go and give my best.
Game 4 is the time. Good luck, Luis. Thank you, Marlon.
Buena suerte.
Thank you, thank you.
Send it back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Meredith. Take a look at Luis Gil. 15 wins in his rookie season, a 189 opponent average, 17 starts allowing 1 run or fewer. That is tied for most in the majors with Crochet and Skubal, and then a 3.1 WAR, tied for third among American League rookies. But when you think about Gil coming to this one, hasn't pitched since September 28th, you talk a lot about body language and confidence, and you just wonder, him setting the tone. You can get 1, 2, 3 in that first inning, or you could have 2 on and Jose Ramirez coming to the plate.
Yeah, really. This matchup for me is all about Luis Gil and his command with the long layoff. If he's able to pound the strike zone, throw the ball over the plate, you feel good about his chances. On the flip side, if he's pitching off the plate, do the Guardians show some patience and make him work, or do they help him out and expand out of the strike zone? If they do that, it plays right into Luis Gil's hands, and he should have a good night.
I think Gil has shown himself to be a very confident pitcher this season. You look at the Guardians going up against him. We're talking about all the things that Gil has to do to the Guardians. No one on the Guardians has had more than 5 plate appearances against him. He's only made 2 starts against them. No one in the Guardians lineup has had more than 1 hit against him. Rocchio did take him deep in a start in August. So, Michael, I think if Gil can be on his game, it's not as if the Guardians have this long track record of familiarity against him.
Well, one thing that sometimes I think we forget about Gil, when you take Judge and Soto out of the equation, Luis Gil might be the most valuable Yankee in 2024. When Garrett Cole went down, there was a possibility that the team could just go, oh, it's over for us. We lose the Cy Young Award winner. He stepped in. He won the job. He won it from a couple of people that pitched very well in spring training. And you know what? He was very close to an all-star, and the guy's got great stuff. So if he can control his emotions and have control of his pitches, I think he could do very well.
Great job by Meredith with that interview, because as you could hear, the music was pulsating in the background. It was very loud, but I love to combine music and baseball. So if you were listening, the song was Learn to Fly by Foo Fighters, and the lyrics that are included are, I'm looking to the sky to save me, I'm looking for a sign of life, looking for something to help me burn out bright. I don't think the Guardians played that intentionally during the Gil interview, but that exemplifies what he's trying to do tonight. He wants to burn out bright. He wants to be a star for the Yankees. Why are you crying over lyrics?
Beautiful.
This is
beautiful.
This is just a baseball music combo, which is
the whole thing together.
Yeah, you know he's become a big softie. Come on.
Over lyrics to a Foo Fighters song?
You tied it together. It worked for me.
It really did.
Absolutely. That's my MO.
We got to take another break here on the FanDuel Yankees pregame. Still ahead, we hear from the managers. Aaron Boone trying to get his team a win closer to the pennant. Stephen Vogt looking to tie up the ALCS. Keep it right here.
Amazon Fall Favorites are here. Save on fashion, home, beauty, and more. Shop Amazon Fall Favorites now.
What if finding a new job wasn't such a leap of faith?
I don't think I'm right for this. I said I don't think I'm right for the job.
You're perfect for it!
What if you knew you'd be paid fairly?
Check this out.
Because you could literally see what the job pays. What if your schedule worked for you, and her, and them? And what if the promise of better work
No way!
was something that found us?
I got the interview.
Untuck It makes every guy look better. From tall to short, from big to slim. From our iconic button-downs for all shapes and sizes to a whole lot more. Try us today. Untuck It. We just make guys look better. Oh, and we make great styles for her, too. Find the perfect fit at untuckit.com in more than 80 stores worldwide.
Don't make people laugh. But when we matched, it was the best day ever.
Dear donor, your blood stem cells saved me from leukemia. Thank you forever and ever and ever. Sincerely, Owen.
Experience the true joy of saving a life at nmdp.org.
Well, the Yankees have the most important advantage in the ALCS with two wins to Cleveland's one. The Bombers also have the edge in runs, batting average, and starters ERA, but yesterday inflated the bullpen's ERA a bit. Luis Gil gets the start tonight, and earlier Aaron Boone was asked why he hasn't pitched in the postseason until now.
We only needed 3 starters for the Kansas City series, so he was definitely in consideration for that. So we had him out of the bullpen in the Kansas City series, knowing that he would go back into the rotation if we advanced to the championship series. So excited to get him the ball today, and he's had an outstanding year for us and a big reason why we're here. And hopefully he can go out and get us off to a good start tonight.
John, right here. We talk so much about the athletic things these guys can do. How much is it a skill to be able to move past last night and to have kind of that ability to turn the page?
Yeah, I think it's a trait as an athlete that you want to have. Most successful ones do, certainly in our sport. You know, it's important, you know, where you're playing every day, and we talk about the grind of the everyday, and you got to, you know, move on. I think it's sometimes hard for people to understand that, but it's what you live. So I think it's just kind of what we do in our sport. And some guys, some teams are better at it than others. I do feel like it's been one of our traits that these guys have done really well this year.
What do you think, as the leader in the clubhouse, Aaron does, in kind of keeping that level in there?
Yeah, I think it's huge. You know, the just the tone he sets in there. You know, the tone all our leaders set in there, and just something that we try and hammer home from day one in spring training. You know, it's just like keep moving, especially in the playoffs. Like, you know, when I talk to these guys before the series, like, we're going to do some great things. There's going to be great moments. We're going to make mistakes. It's like you can't get bogged down by it all. You gotta hopefully feed off the energy that is the postseason, but, you know, kind of take in every moment, learn from it, and then understanding the next play's so important. And you got to keep moving, and the teams that do that well have a chance to be more successful.
Stephen, your team does a good job of, whether it's a tough loss or a huge exciting win like last night, of being able to flush it and move on to the next game. Is that something that you have to vocalize to them, or they already just know how to do it?
That's who they are. You know, we have put such an emphasis, and they have put an emphasis with each other, and we win today and we worry about tomorrow. And when we show up each day, doesn't matter if we've won, lost, didn't matter. They show up the same every single day. And, you know, you walk into the clubhouse today, it's just like any other day. And that's the beauty of this group of guys.
Obviously, it's a big day for Gavin Williams. When you're watching him pitch tonight, what will tell you if he's on his A game or if maybe he's, you know, nibbling a little bit?
Fastball command. With Gavin, it's always about fastball command, landing the curveball, you know, good movement on the slider, good changeup. But if he's filling up the zone, that's when we're going to know that Gavin's at his best.
Yeah, starting pitchers really setting the tone, obviously, goes without saying. But managers can do that, too, with good decision-making throughout the playoffs. We've seen Aaron Boone do that. It's funny, too, last night, Jack, both managers pushed the right buttons. It's just in the end, Clase, Weaver, and Holmes all struggled.
Right, I'll steal Michael's line. If you get the ball to your closer with a lead, you expect that you're going to win that game. Both managers did that, but I wanted to focus on Boone for a second. He started managing Game 4 about 22 hours ago. When he went into the press conference room last night, he understood how devastating that loss was, and he had to field questions about it. But probably 5 or 6 times he kept saying, the Yankees are going to be all right. The Yankees are going to come back tomorrow. They've got another game tomorrow. And as difficult as it is to wash away a loss like that, Boone sent the message to his players last night, you've got to forget about it. You've got another game coming up.
They've had a lot of tough losses, and they've bounced back from all of them. But, I mean, it's an old cliche, but it's true. Momentum only goes as far as your next day starting pitcher. So the two guys on the mound will dictate whether the Yankees could wash it away or the Guardians could actually, you know, climb onto that win and take it another couple of victories as well. It comes down to those two guys starting because everything else just breaks down around it. And when you have to employ that bullpen with a game tomorrow, that's a lot to ask.
Yeah, as I was listening to both of those managers, I was thinking that Stephen Vogt has shown in this series that he's going to manage aggressively. He has to do that tonight, being down 2-1 with his starting pitcher. If he sees any signs that it's not going to go well, he's got to go into his bullpen. And that's been the game plan for the Yankees from the start of this series. Get into the bullpen, a fatigued bullpen, and keep adding pitches on top of it.
One last break on the FanDuel Yankees pregame. We discuss some keys to the game next as we move closer to first pitch in Cleveland. Keep it here on the Gotham Sports app.
Amazon fall favorites are here. Save on fashion, home, beauty, and more. Shop Amazon fall favorites now.
Oh, sorry, man.
You.
We all bring something different to the table. Ben's Original. We're all original recipes.
What if finding a new job wasn't such a leap of faith?
I don't think I'm right for this. I said I don't think I'm right for the job.
You're perfect for it.
What if you knew you'd be paid fairly?
Check this out.
Because you could literally see what the job pays. What if your schedule worked for you and her and them? And what if the promise of better work
No way.
was something that found us?
I got the interview.
A football player and proud supporter of the Muscular Dystrophy Association. My mom was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy when I was 14, and I watched her struggle. But MDA helped her get the best treatments and care, and they also help kids like my buddy Ethan.
My name is Ethan. Thanks to the Muscular Dystrophy Association and people like you, I have more hope than ever before. From day one, they've treated me like family at my local care center. AMDA is the only one that funds over 150 care centers across the U.S. to help provide state-of-the-art care for adults and kids like me.
MDA has been transforming the lives of people living with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and other related neuromuscular diseases. They fund the research for breakthrough treatments, care, and cures. And MDA provides support to thousands of families like mine and Ethan's in communities like yours. Thanks to MDA, kids and adults can live life to its fullest. Join us and learn more at mda.org today.
Later tonight, after the final out of Game 4 of the American League Championship Series in Cleveland between the Yanks and Guardians, tune in to Yes for the postgame for highlights, analysis, and reaction from the ballpark. It's all on Yes and the Gotham Sports app. So Yanks with a win can go up 3-1 in the series. Let's get your keys to the game.
Yeah, my key to the game is I think Juan Soto's going to have a big moment in this game. If you think back to last night's game, Aaron Judge had that big 2-run shot. Giancarlo Stanton with his solo home run. And Juan Soto has been such a consistent performer during this postseason. I feel like there's a big moment coming from him.
My key to the game is about being clean and crisp. Now, clean, I mean no defensive mistakes, no base running mistakes. Crisp, better at-bats, and put yourself in a position when you get some runners on base, make sure you produce. Before Judge's home run off Class A yesterday, the Yankees went a 20-batter stretch where they had one hit.
Well, my key is bullpen deployment. I don't think that either starter, my gut feeling, is going to have a lot of length. And how do they get the final 18 outs? Which relievers do they use in what order? I know with the Yankees, they have all these things mapped out, which lanes for which pitchers, and it's going to decide this game.
Yeah, such a swing game. The Yanks could go up 3-1. Meantime, the Guardians could make it 2-2. Enjoy the ball game coming up on TBS a little after 8 o'clock, and then right after the game's over, you know the drill. Come on back to Yes and the Gotham Sports app and join us for complete post-game coverage. We'll see you then.
Amazon fall favorites are here. Save on fashion, home, beauty, and more. Shop Amazon fall favorites now.
Oh, sorry, man.
You.